Why do we always focus on the villain during a terrible event? Have you ever thought about that? Why we don't focus on the victims and leave the murderers unnamed and avoid the limelight that they crave? This is the modern world issue in which modern research reporters report on. For example, the Parliament Hill shootings in Ottawa. October 22nd, 2014, this terrible event was covered globally by journalists everywhere. If you're unaware of what I'm talking about the shooting that happened in Ottawa at Parliament Hill. An extremist, Michael Zehaf-Bibeau, targeted an unarmed soldier, Corporal Nathan Cirillo. Nathan was standing at a war memorial statue for ceremonial purposes and unfortunately succumbed to his injuries. The killer then went on shooting inside until coming to a deadly end thanks to Kevin Vickers, Parliament's Sergeant at Arms inside the building in the Hall of Honor. With research, it is evident that 75% of the articles will mainly focus on the background of the killer. The other 25% briefly mention the victims, while a minuscule percentage will focus on the victims alone. CNN and Time both reported on the life of the Parliament Hill shooter, while one article focused on those who sprang to action to help. In my research, I found 1 of 4 articles had a slight mention of the victim, and 2 out of all of my findings actually focused on the victims. Has our modern society become so known to violence that we crave to learn about it? This seems to be the case. Articles that titled CNN's Terrorist Murdered in Cold Blood, Canadian Prime Minister Says, and Times Canadian Police Say the Gunman Was Hoping to Go to Syria, Maclean's Uncovering a Killer, just to name a few. And of those 2 findings that were not focused mainly on the killer, one was a statement from Prime Minister Trudeau stating that we have remained Canadians, and the other, a first-person point of view on bystanders and responders and those who risked their lives to help this fallen soldier. If you look globally, you'll find that this is a global marketing trend where we focus on the villains of a story rather than the victims, not the people that jump to action like Kevin Vickers. Another good question: does violence in movies and video games desensitize us to the real deal of real world issues? Many people will actually say that they do feel desensitized because of the current world in which we live in. We see it on TV and then we resume with our regular lives. It's not real. But the reality fact is that it is real, and we need to start paying attention more to the victims and the people that are affected by these terrible crimes, and less on the people that are doing this for political purposes or trying to make a statement. Instead of reporting from addict to radical Islamist, we need to start saying the Canadian that protects Canadians, or whatever relative subject or person that is. It's time to change media from villain to hero and killer to victim.